Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ellis County Commission, Tuesday, June the 16th of 2026. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Bobby, if you could call roll, please.
Commissioner Nathan Liker,
Here.
Chair Neil Younger,
Present.
Commissioner Michael Burgess.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Order of business. Anybody have anything? Okay,
No
stay the
changes.
same. There will be one executive session. Prior minutes.
Prior minutes look fine.
Okay.
Good.
Consent agenda. How about anything there?
I'll move to approve consent agenda items A through G.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Any issues from people not on the agenda? Okay, the monthly departmental report. Anything on that?
I'd like to highlight a couple of sections this month for the month of May. A couple of interesting facts to point out. Our health department, you wouldn't believe some of the diseases that they're monitoring. In case you guys didn't catch it, it's kind of interesting. Some of those bloodborne pathogens and diseases, and then also our jail seems to be a little light for the month of May. So, just something to note.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have any comments.
Okay. Update on the RPM lease agreement.
There we go.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Okay, just make sure you state your name, please, when you,
Chris Sutton, promoter of RPM Speedway.
thank you.
BJ Wagner, potential co-promoter of RPM Speedway.
Okay. Well, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Morning.
Go ahead.
So we're here this morning to ask for approval, gain approval to add BJ Wagner with 51 W Promotions onto the contract at RPM Speedway for the 2026 year. With his kindness, he has offered to step in, help out, run the race facility this year. With that, being able to extend insurance coverage for the property and for the events out at RPM Speedway in the 2026 year. So,
Okay. That will take effective pretty much immediately. Is that how that work for the remainder of the year?
Yeah, it would take effect under the assumption that we're going to try to race at the fair on July 11th.
Okay. Okay. And you currently promote the Waukene track as well?
I do, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Have you been you've been over helping, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, Chris and I have, I don't know, I've helped Chris over the last, I don't know, however many years he's done it. Basically from year one he was in here, I've helped with Fall Nationals and a few other shows throughout the season, so.
Oh, okay. Kind of like a big old family thing that everybody helps in and pitches in.
Yeah.
yeah, BJ's been a promoter not only at Waukene Speedway, he's got a lot of experience in the racing industry from the national level, traveling. He also promoted Colby Speedway for 7 years, I believe.
Yeah.
And then he's been at Waukene. Once it shut down, he took it over, done a great job. He'd be an asset to the facility.
Okay.
Okay.
My questions are more to me, Bill, I guess, on the legal side, or this is a lease that's already in place, expires here at the end of the year, adding BJ and his insurance to it. Any got legal issues of no
Bill Jeter, County Councilor. Darren and I have gone back and forth and reviewed the lease agreement and what's happened in terms of insurance. And this doesn't really change anything. It just adds another entity to the lease agreement for purposes of being insurable, getting insurance, and that'll take us to the end of the year under the current contract, essentially. And then we can regroup sometime this year and see where we are going forward.
Okay.
Did I state that right, guys? I think that's kind of where we are.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, we're just looking to get through the end of this contract, allow him to get kind of your staple events in that help people, bring people into the community and get those three, two major events, the fair and the fall nationals, and then plus one other is kind of all we're looking at to kind of close out Chris's contract with you anyways, so.
Yeah, from a legal standpoint, it doesn't change anything from our position. Other than enables Chris to be able to get insurance. Otherwise, we might be done.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of my follow-up question. Without insurance, we really
Well, the
You
two of you together,
wouldn't be
yeah.
able to operate
Yeah.
Chris, and we probably wouldn't want to take on the risk as far as having somebody operate without insurance in place, so.
Well, I'll move to approve the updated RPM lease agreement for the 2026 race season.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, the Ellis County Library Board bonding. Jennifer?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm Jennifer Teague, treasurer with the Ellis County Library Board.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you all?
Good.
We have been in place for almost 2 years now, and one of the requirements per state statute KS 12-1222, we are required to be bonded for insurance. So I have sought to do that. The board has approved. We were recommended by the insurance person that we talked to do the full amount of the tax levy money that we collect per position that can sign the checkbook. So we voted for the full amount at our last meeting, so $80,000 times 2 positions. So that's $160,000. The positions that can sign are president and treasurer. The cost to us is going to be about $600 for a year. I spoke with the insurance agent yesterday, and what we're going to look to do is start it for this year, probably end it in December, and then start again for next year so that it matches and rolls with our budget. So I'll be back at the end of the year talking about what we're going to do for next year. So this is kind of just to finish us out. The statute does require that we present it to you, and I'm not 100% sure if it just says we need to inform you or if we need approval. So I went all the way to approval, just to cover in case we need it. So.
Okay.
County Councilor Bill Drew, just a couple of things. One is the statute does require the county set the amount of the bond.
Okay.
And then I note on the agenda cover sheet that it refers to 80,000 and not 160.
It's 80,000 per position.
Okay.
So
I'm not reading that as being very clear in the
Okay.
So,
in the language in the agenda sheet.
so we would need to update our language.
You would need to set the amount of the bond at 160,000 for the 2 positions of president and treasurer.
thank you.
Is that right, Jennifer? Does that
That
sound
is
right?
correct. And
Okay.
that's great.
160
Yeah.
total.
160 total.
total.
Okay.
In that $600, just for clarification for the public, the library board's covering that. You're not asking the commission to cover that.
Correct. And so I had noted on there that down at the bottom where it says purchase order needed and all that kind of stuff, I had put no. I wasn't sure if that was the correct thing to do, so.
Okay.
But yes, that is out of our budget. And we have planned for that for the year. We had already planned for it when we created the budget for this calendar year.
Okay.
Well, I'll move to approve the Ellis County Library Board to obtain bonding insurance as per their vote on June 3rd, 2026, for a total of $160,000 for 2 positions, president and treasurer.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion approved. All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
and
Thank
thank you
you.
for the clarification.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, the Care Council outside agency funding. Janelle and Haley.
I did have a PowerPoint, do you know if that's loaded on here? Switch over. Do I have a clicker you can use or just-
Just point at Justin.
Just point, yeah.
Just point and click at him.
Okay, you get the official job there. All right, one moment here. Okay, well, good morning. My name
Good
is
morning.
Haley Belzer. I am serving as the chair of the Care Council. And so this is going to be the second year where Ellis County has partnered with the Care Council that is housed under United Way to recommend funding allocations for a variety of social services. So what I'm going to run through with you today is just a brief history of how the Care Council is set up, so you're just kind of familiar with that. And then how we are recommending that the funding from the county be dispersed among the agencies that requested that. So to begin with, the Care Council was established in 1992, and it's comprised of 12 members. And so 4 of those are appointed from the county, 4 are from the city of Hayes, and then 4 are from United Way. So when we do our funding recommendations, you can understand that that's a group of 12 individuals who are coming together, all volunteers from across the community that are coming together to have those discussions. It's not just a siloed individual or a couple of people there when we're doing those discussions. Also in 2011, when the Care Council got together, they decided that when funding recommendations are made, they are made for specific programs, not for overhead operating expenses for these agencies that are requesting funding. So when the agencies submit their application, they have to say specifically how those funds are going to be used for a particular program. Now that could be for the administrative oversight of a particular program, but again, it's not their general operating fund. It's going toward a specific endeavor, and that's why you'll see us talk about programs, not particular agencies, in the upcoming slides. So I just want to kind of explain the timeline too. So in November, I talked about an application process. Each of those agencies will submit their application to the Care Council, and it's very detailed. They have to include a purpose statement, the mission of the overall agency, funding, a budget sheet, things like that. So they do have to provide quite a few details to get these funds. Then in December, the Care Council comes together and has a kickoff meeting where they get assigned to those agencies. And then in January, we go out and actually perform site visits, which I think is a really big advantage of this particular team. And so rather than just reading through applications, we actually go on site and visit each of these organizations to understand what they look like in person and can have that one-on-one interaction with them. And so I think that's really valuable to be able to have those conversations in person. Then in February, that group of 12 people I mentioned come together and they go through all of the funding, all of the requests, and then they recommend from the pool that's available. And then we come here in June and we talk to you all about how we recommend those be divvied up. So that's just kind of how the timeline works. And we always have to remind ourselves when we're doing those visits in January, it is for the upcoming budget year. So these agencies are having to think pretty far in the future when they're doing this. So it seems a little, a preemptive, but they are looking ahead at the following year's budget when they're doing this. Okay, next. So what I wanted to do is I will go through these pretty quickly, but I did just want to give you a little brief overview of each of these programs that are asking for funding, so you know what they entail when you're approving those amounts. So the first one is First Call for Help, and the two programs that they are requesting funding for are their local assistance and their backpacks for kids. So the local assistance bucket is pretty broad. There's a variety of things that fall into that, and I'm going to use my notes here and cheat a little bit. So this is connecting individuals to local resources. It could be emergency financial assistance for rent and utilities, and just overall household support. So again, that program is very broad and serves a lot of different interests and needs. Now the backpacks for kids, you may have heard about, that one's pretty targeted. So each fall, as back to school gets kicked off, First Call for Help organizes a backpacks for kids. And the point of that is that each child who comes through that program gets a backpack pre-stocked with supplies for school. And then that way, that family isn't worried about spending money on those particular items. They can then spend that money on things like clothing, shoes, and classroom fees. So that is a snapshot there of how that program got featured on one of the news stations not too long ago. So very helpful, and I can't tell you the exact numbers in the application, but it serves several hundred children each year when that happens. Okay, next one. The next one is going to be the Heartland Community Foundation, and so they are requesting, oh, and I'm sorry, I need to tell you the amounts that they're asking for too. So on First Call for Help, we are recommending $2,000 for the local assistance program and $1,000 for the backpacks for kids, and I'll show you a summary slide of all this at the end as well. For Heartland Community Foundation, we are recommending $5,000 for their match month, and so each year they have a fundraiser to do they raise $50,000, in each community served in the county. And then these funds are matched 2-to-1 by the Dane G. Hansen Foundation. And so the funding that we are recommending for Heartland would go toward that effort that they do each year. Okay, our next one. The next one is the Ellis Alliance Sustainability, and that we are recommending $5,000 for this organization. So they strengthen access to services and collaboration among nonprofits, community organizations, and residents. And so they kind of serve as a central hub in Ellis, supporting local referrals, community projects, nonprofit capacity building, and responses to emerging needs. So they're just kind of a central hub there in Ellis to help connect people to the resources that they need. All right. Silver-haired legislature, this funding recommendation is $500. It's pretty minimal, but this goes toward supporting the representative for that particular organization. And so, as you might glean from the name, this group is representing seniors and presenting important issues of the senior population in Kansas. So this is just going to support some of the different expenses they incur in their role as that representative. So pretty minor, but just some basic costs that are associated with that particular responsibility. Okay. Big Brothers Big Sisters. This organization specifically is requesting funding for their mentoring program, and so the recommendation here is $9,000, and that would go toward training those matches that are then paired with children, and those relationships just help build positive connections and foster some good growth opportunities in the community. Our next one is CASA, or Court Appointed Special Advocates. We're recommending $6,000 here for their Secure Futures program, so kind of similar to Big Brothers Big Sisters. This funding is going towards training and these court-appointed special advocates for children so that they can be well represented within the court system. And these individuals, these advocates, are conducting independent assessments and providing consistent one-on-one advocacy for those children in the program. So again, that's going toward the training and just overall education of those individuals. Our next one is the Western Kansas Child Advocacy Center, and so this is their specific Hayes Child Advocacy Center location, and the recommendation is $10,000 for this organization or this program. And so they are using these funds to support the room that you see here. This is a room that children are taken to when they need to remove from their home, and it helps them just have a more positive environment while they're waiting for kind of understanding the next steps in their path there. This is also where a forensic interviewer and child family advocate would come and have those interactions with the children. And so it's trying to provide them with an atmosphere that is not intimidating and is more comforting so that they don't feel so out of place when a bad situation arises. The next one is the Northwest, let me make sure I get this right, Northwest Kansas Area on Aging, a long name there. So they are asking for required match dollars of $30,000. And so what that does is with the $30,000 that Ellis County would provide, they are matched at the federal and state level to expand the services that are provided. And this particular agency, they are serving to include information and outreach for senior meals, life alerts, in-home support, just a variety of things that seniors would need that they wouldn't get otherwise. Our next one is the Ellis Nutrition Center. And so this is a site in Ellis that serves meals for senior citizens. And so the funding there is going toward making sure that's operational. They have what they need in terms of kitchen appliances, things like that. They also serve homebound people and others that may have challenges getting their meals. So it's meeting a need there in Ellis for those people who cannot get out and about necessarily. Victoria meal site, kind of similar, except rather than in Ellis where they're preparing the meals, Victoria is literally a drop-off location for meals, and then they are shepherding those meals to the people who need them. So this funding is going just toward the people who are delivering those meals for potentially like gas money and things like that. And sorry, I lost my spot. I'm going to give you the amount there. For Ellis, the recommendation is $23,000, again, because they are actually making those meals. For Victoria, the recommendation is $2,500 because that is just going toward the delivery amounts and covering those types of expenses. Okay. Our next one is the Hayes Senior Center, and we're going to continue with that trend of meals. So they are asking, or we are recommending, $39,565 for their meal site. So again, the meals here are dropped off at the senior center, and then there's a coordinated effort to get them to the people who need them here in Hayes is where that one is going towards. And then we're over to options now. So options, domestic and sexual violence services. This funding recommendation is $10,000 for their safe shelter program. So their safe shelter is a place where individuals can go if they need to be removed from the home due to usually domestic violence situations. And it gives them a place to be until they can get a more secure setup and things like that. And so the funds here would go toward that safe shelter where they have the necessities for people as they're in that transition period. The next one is the foster grandparent organization, and there are two programs here. There's the actual foster grandparent program, and then there's the senior companion program. So for the foster grandparent program, we're recommending $7,500, and that is where the volunteers ages 55 and over get connected with children who have special or exceptional needs. And so the volunteers there are going into schools, partnering with Head Start and things like that to help those children get the extra support that they need when they need it. And then the senior companion program, we're recommending $11,000 for that. That is actually where that program is addressing the county's objectives of fostering youth opportunity, supporting seniors, and building a healthier community. So this would be for those volunteer, or they're not necessarily volunteers, they're getting a little bit of coverage, but they're going to mileage reimbursement, recognition meals, background checks, insurance, things like that that the foster grandparent program has to carry for those companions that are part of that program. Okay, and then these next two, I believe, are going to be related to some the alcohol tax funding. And so when we talk about this, I'm not going to give you a specific amount. I will just give you a recommended breakdown of the, excuse me, Ellis County alcohol tax. So Dream Inc. has a service that they are calling the Family Intervention and Recovery Program. It covers, again, like some of the other ones, quite a few different things. What you're seeing here is their dream camp that they do each summer for children who are in their ages 7 to 11 in homes that are maybe subject to substance abuse, things like that. So they give those children an opportunity to go to this camp and get some additional support each summer. And that's just one of the many different things that Dream provides, but specifically around that substance abuse theme and things like that. So again, 50% of the alcohol tax funds at the Ellis County level are recommended to go toward that agency. And then the other 50% would go towards Smoky Hill. And you can see here, they have a variety of programs as well. And so we just named 3 here that are the primary focus. And that would be the recommendation of 50% of the alcohol tax at the county level that would go toward that. Okay, and then this is a summary of everything I just said. So if you didn't catch it all, this kind of helps you understand what was requested and what the recommendation is. And at this point, I think I would just open it up for any questions if you need further clarification on how some of that is recommended or any of the programs you'd like more detail on.
You covered it well for me. I appreciate the effort that you and United Way does by going through and actually doing the interviews and going and seeing these programs. So
Yeah,
thank you.
It's very eye-opening, and a lot of these services, as you can imagine, are not ones that get a lot of attention all the time, but they're meeting a really vital need within our community that otherwise we'd have to find another way to serve. So, yeah, it's very informative from our perspective too.
Yeah, very, very good. Appreciate the information, and thanks to the Care Council and the volunteers, community volunteers that go out and do the on-site visits, look for the application, and then bring these programs to us, and the importance they really do the heavy lifting. I appreciate their work. Looking at it, it looks like it's all, there was a few programs that weren't able to fund. That's kind of the hard decisions that the council has to make. But overall, looks like the requests were very close to what we're going to be able to allocate for that 0.3 of a mil.
Yes. And I would say on behalf of the agencies that requested, they're all very grateful, and it is very uplifting when we can pretty much recommend almost 100% of what they're requesting. That's a very good feeling when we can do that. So yes, I agree. That's a good sign.
Again, thank you for all your hard work. I will say something. I talked to Jennifer about that, and you don't know how important all these different organizations are until you need them. And it's just a matter of when you need them. So
Yes.
thank you and your team for doing all what you've done. Like Michael said, the heavy lifting, you guys are doing it, going out and touching base with everyone. So I really appreciate that. Good job.
Absolutely. All right. Well, like I said, thank you on behalf of the Care Council, and yeah, we appreciate it. So
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
you too.
Okay, outside storage, CUP, Justin?
Hi, Justin Craig, Environmental Services Director. Actually, Dave McDaniel, Chairman of the Joint Planning Commission, is here to present this.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
David
morning.
Daniel, Chairman of the Joint Planning Commission. On May the 27th, our meeting was to see and understand a conditional use permit number 2616 for Brock Holzmeister for an outdoor storage system. We held a public hearing that night. It was a fairly straightforward meeting. There were no real issues to come before us. The public was invited to speak. There was not a lot of speaking on that. We went through our finding of facts list as we usually do. And at this time, the report that I have from you is that the documentation was completed, the fees were paid, the notifications that were needed were made, the sign was posted as required, the public hearing was held, as I said. The protest period was announced, that was June 10th, and as I understand, there were no protests, Justin, is that correct?
Correct.
So there were no protests. So I guess I'm presenting that to you this morning it was a unanimous approval by our board.
Were there any stipulations or recommendations given by the board?
None.
Pretty straightforward.
I believe you have all that in front of you with the maps and everything that went along with that. There was a brief question about the floodplain issue, but that was all clarified with the Justin and his position, so that was not an issue.
Was there any other discussion points about the permit or the site or location or use?
There was some discussion from some people involved about their roads, but that was not an advisement by the attorney that was not our problem with our committee.
Okay.
I'll move to approve resolution 2026-12 to approve CUP 2616 to allow outdoor storage on the described parcel located at 00000 Lane B, Munter, Kansas.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. All opposed, same sign.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dave.
gentlemen. Justin and his crew do an excellent job of preparing stuff for the committee. It makes it very easy for us.
And I will say that, I spent quite a bit of time with, Public Works Director going through all the stuff looking for the roads, so, but, yeah.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ellis County assessment valuations, Mr. Eugene?
Good morning, Eugene Rope,
Morning.
Ellis County Appraiser. Just wanted to give an update on assessed valuations for Ellis County for tax year 2026. In April, I believe I gave you an update on the appraised values that we sent out notices for in March. This is now the assessed values that we certify these values to the clerk June 1st annually. Not sure if that's close enough. There we go. So I don't know if you can go to the slides a little bit, Justin, but kind of in summary, let me get to the right page here. Kind of on the slide here, I just kind of wanted to show, and again, the main focus on these is not so much the appraised values, but the assessed value portion of it. I don't know if you recall back to the slides I presented in April, about 17% of the valuation in Ellis County is actually exempt. So there is always a difference between how the total valuation is appraised and the amount of total assessed dollars and how that breaks out. So just kind of for information here on the real estate side, our appraised values were just got to get my decimals in the right place. 3 billion, 773,000, and the assessed then is 439 million and some change for 25. You'll see when you go to tax year 26, our appraised values were 3,895,587,980. 587,980. Assessed then came in at 453 through 34,999. That amounts to a change in the appraised value of $122 million. And that as a percentage, we saw an increase in appraised value on the real estate of 3.2%. The value change on the assessed side also came in at 3.2%, being $14 million in assessed value change. Where we're going to see a little more change this year is in regards to oil. Oil valuations are determined, the price of oil is determined by the property valuation division of the Kansas Department of Revenue annually. And the price of a barrel of oil dropped 23% for 2026. So we did see the overall valuation in oil decrease quite substantially because of that drop in oil. Of course, that price was set before the events with Iran and what's going on elsewhere in the world have kind of driven oil back up. But as of January 1st, the oil valuation is based off that price set by PBD.
So is that set just once a year then?
Yes.
At that time, whatever's happening in the world at that time is,
Right.
okay.
So we, I'm actually on the oil committee. We go through at the beginning of the year, trying to project what's going to happen. Kind of use that crystal ball, look what's happening over the past year, kind of see what the different indicators are saying oil's going to do over the coming year. And then a price oil gets, actually, we give a recommendation to PBD. PBD compiles all the reports, talks to industry representatives, gets their feel on what oil's going to do. And then ultimately, PBD is the one that decides on the final price per barrel of oil. And again, like I said, all of this was done before the events that we're seeing overseas right now have occurred that have driven the price of oil up.
So what was that price?
So I say it's roughly 23%. It's about $14 a barrel lower. If you would go to the next couple slides right here, this first slide here, this is the January 25 price of oil. And you can see if I just use that top middle column there was $62 a barrel. Obviously, with the different gravities of the oil and whether they're exempt or have severance on them, there's a matrix out there we have to apply, but just to make it simple, if you look at that $62 there in 25, if you go to the next slide and look at that same column, that value drops down to $48. So that's, and those numbers kind of consistently over that matrix kind of feather out about the same. So, so we did see.
So that value, so going up to like the 26 million, roughly, if we took that 26 million divided by 62, that'd be basically the amount of barrels of oil Ellis County's producing.
So with oil, we're valuing the barrels of oil, not necessarily production. We value oil based on the estimated gross reserves, how much oil is left in the ground based upon the historical production. And oil is a declining resource, so it's a finite resource. There's only so much of it down there. So an oil well will over its lifetime decline. You can do some workovers and do other things to an oil well to boost production from time to time, but eventually that decline will always set back in.
Mm-hmm.
So we do see that the overall production tends to come down a little bit annually. They may drill a new well here or two and do a couple of workovers, but overall, oil is still a declining resource, so the number of barrels goes down. The other part, and that's included in the valuation, is the equipment. The pump jacks, the tank batteries. We have saltwater disposal wells in the county that also carry some value, even though they're not producing oil. They're income producing from where they take outside water and stuff into those saltwater disposals. So the majority of the valuation would be, yes, tied to the oil. The other part is the equipment. In the state of Kansas, there is a low production exemption when you're producing less than 5 barrels a day. And the majority of our wells in the county here actually apply for that. I don't necessarily have those slides here, but in the legislature this year, they passed a bill. Should have that here. House Bill 2440. And basically what it's going to do is effective July 1st of this year. So the bill actually hasn't gone into effect yet. But effective July 1st of this year, it's going to give the county appraiser the authority to exempt low production wells. Prior to this coming July, if an operator felt that their well qualified for the 5-barrel exemption, they had to fill out an application, send it to us. We had to do our part of the forms, get that all prepared. Cost them $400 per lease to apply for the exemption, and that's payable to the Board of Tax Appeals. But we get that all prepared, get their payments, send that in. Wait months, sometimes years, to hear back from the Board of Tax Appeals on whether or not that exemption was approved. And then at that point in time, if it's approved, we had to go back and do an abatement of the taxes. So we would value it at the beginning of the year as if it was producing above 5 barrels. Wait months or years to hear back from BOTA, and then when the exemption got approved, we would have to do an abatement of the taxes. So where you'll see that, and I can give you some rough numbers. Didn't really come totally prepared for this, but we always have pending exemptions. So right now, in regards to oil, we have 39 exemptions pending before the Board of Tax Appeals. Those 39 exemptions, there's $3.6 million in appraised value that's out there, appraised right now and assessed right now, that we don't know if those exemptions will be approved or not. Likely they will, but those are always pending. We report that information to Bobby when we certify, so that she can let the taxing districts know that this amount of valuation will likely become exempt and not be available when she does her November abstracts. So with the bill going into effect in July, we've done a little, our oil clerk's done a little research into that. there's an additional 264 oil wells in the county, or oil leases in the county that could qualify for this. So there is potentially another $4.5 million in appraised value in oil leases that we will have to do, possibly adjust going forward. So all in total, it's about 8.1 million in assessed valuation that could be affected by this bill, starting in July. The good part about this bill is these oil leases always could apply for exemption to begin with. We just had to do this little dance, for lack of a better word. Value at full value. They have to spend the money on the application, apply to BODA, wait, do net and abate. And so where you see some of that disconnect is between when we certify values to the clerk in June, and then as abatements come through throughout the year, we're removing value, and then the assessed valuation that she uses in the November abstract when they're actually creating the tax bills. Those numbers can be a bit off because of all the abatements. So I do see this actually as a positive moving forward. Starting in 27, we will know at the beginning of the year which leases are exempt, and the number that we actually provide for oil will be much closer to what it should be. You know, aside from maybe a few hearings that may adjust value, the oil numbers for 2027 should be much better known than they are right now with all the potential exemptions, adds, and abates that come through on that. So got a little off track, but it does provide a little insight into why oil's fluctuating as much as it is this year. So on that oil line, kind of going to just skip over to the right-hand columns there. You'll see the appraised value that dropped. Oops, I actually have the wrong one slide. Would you go back, Justin? So on that second line there, you'll see way to the right over in the red where oil dropped 30%. 23% of that valuation drop is tied specifically to the price of barrel of oil. Mm-hmm. The remaining 7% or so that you see a decline is tied to a little bit of it into the valuation of the equipment, but the majority of that would be those abates that I just talked about that we do when those exemptions come in. So where we're seeing 7% roughly in 2026 to 2025, that number, we shouldn't start seeing that big amount of abatements going forward in 27 after we're able to exempt them starting at the beginning of the year.
But Eugene, we still won't be, we're not collecting on them now, and we won't be collecting any property valuation tax on them in the future either.
So the piece is right now, if we value it, we do collect tax on it. It depends upon if they have applied for exemption. So some of these wells, I will say, are low enough production that even though they do qualify, the operator may not feel it is worth their time to apply for exemption. So we will see a little bit of change with that. The other piece is, for the past several years, the Board of Tax Appeals, BODA, has been backlogged. So they would end up paying these taxes, and then we ended up abating them. So like I said, I do feel going forward in 27, these numbers will start to be a lot cleaner what we present in June, as the oil value should be much closer to what we see come November when the November abstracts go out. This has been happening this way a little bit every year. I just wanted to kind of make you aware of that fluctuation that we get there. So,
okay, thank you.
If I jump to a personal property, actually, I'll let you go back to that other slide, Justin. The personal property, you'll see that one went down 11%, that 1.1 million or so. That's the change to the personal property law that I talked about over the last year here, where boats, golf carts, trailers, UTVs, ATVs, all of that personal property and equipment became exempt. So as we removed all those items from the tax rolls, that's why you're seeing the drop in the personal property values there. I think I had estimated it a little over $1 million, and we came in about 1.2. So that is why we see the drop in personal property. The state assessed, that actually gets reported directly to the clerk, but we did see some increase in the state assessed. That's your public utilities, your railroads, your electrical line, transmission lines, those types of things. So overall, though, what you're seeing here and what I'm comparing the 25-26, that total number, I'm actually using those November abstract numbers, what Bobby had in November when she sent tax bills last year to what I'm certifying in June this year. Even though I said we did see increase in the real estate, kind of the offsets in the oil and the personal property, we're seeing a total increase in assessed valuation of 0.1% this year. So the assessed valuation overall up, but just barely. The way to read this is the real estate is going to affect everything countywide, but mostly your cities, your incorporated areas, City of Hayes, City of Ellis, City of Victoria. If you think about oil, there is no oil in the City of Hayes, City of Ellis, City of Victoria. So the assessed valuation part where it is taking the drop is not going to have as significant effect on the incorporated areas as it does the unincorporated areas. So your townships, your rural townships this year, your fire districts and stuff will see or that flat assessed value, where your cities will not see it quite as much because they don't have the oil valuation.
Okay.
And I did touch a little on those two slides there. And then the last slide I had was just the summary of the bill on the personal property that I just explained to you. So I'll stand for any other questions you guys may have.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eugene, do you see this stuff kind of leveling out, or do you see a trend coming for the future with our assessed valuations of like real estate? Do you think the real estate's going to continue to somewhat go up, or do you think that's going to level off?
So if you can go back to the spreadsheet slide there, what you can see kind of below there, I probably should hit on that, and I did not. Let me get flipped over to it here where I can see it a little better. So the new construction value, we're on the real estate line only, and you're seeing the appraised value changes. If you kind of look below that down there, what I've got is the real estate value attributed to new construction. And so there's about 1% or so of the increase in the appraised value. So that top line, that's total valuation. So you're going to see things like Hayes High is in there, all the new construction going on in the Grove, what Grow Hayes has been doing there by NCK or F8 Fort Hayes Tech. That top line includes regular increase for market conditions in the county plus all of the new construction. So about 1% of that top real estate line, the 1% of the increase is actually attributable specifically to new construction. And then you can see the assessed value too, so that assessed valuation increase, we can tie 1% of that more or less to the new construction. As far as real, and then before I get into that thought, I'll jump to the one below. This one here actually is something it was just an interesting tidbit I wanted to point out, this is what we've actually removed from the tax rolls over the last year. As we're out doing our 17% reinspection of the county right now, where we have to go out once every 6 years and reinspect, we are not out there always just picking up a new shed or a new garage. We are actually removing a lot of value too, and people don't always realize that. They have removed a shed, a deck's gone down. We've adjusted the condition of the home or the building, for whatever reason, wind damage, lack of maintenance. So what we're basically doing is just making sure our data is correct. But interestingly enough, I thought it would be good to report out also that we're not just always out there to find new value. We're out there to make sure things are correct, and that does result sometimes in a loss evaluation. So that $3 million in value that we removed is attributable to demolition and all sorts of changes. So it would include even things like the roadway and that was torn down. But So they kind of, again, it's kind of a little dance. We have some new construction, we have some removal of value. Hopefully, the new construction always helps with our assessed valuation totals going up. As far as the predictions for next year, I can tell you right now where our market is pretty stable, where we were seeing that 2 to 3% overall last year. At this point in time, I'm not seeing anything different, but we're still early into this year, so.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the update.
Yep, thank you. Okay, next is Bobby with the ballot destruction.
Bobby Dryling, County Clerk. I'm just here before you that I do this periodically. Per KSA 25-2708B, the county clerk shall destroy ballots that are within that time frame, and that is being for the general and/or primary elections. I need to destroy those after 22 months, and on my city school elections, I have 6 months after the date of the election to destroy the ballots. So I need to have appointed a Republican and a Democrat to oversee the process. And I will then set a date with Justin to destroy them out of the landfill. So this time around, I'm asking to destroy the 2024 presidential preference primary election ballots, the 2024 primary election, and the 2025 general city school election, and that Mike Weber and Eugene Rook be appointed to oversee the operations. And do you have any questions?
Do you document the way you destroy the ballots?
Just through the minutes that, no, because normally we just take them out to the, what do you call it, the recycle place. But I've since found out that they need to be destroyed where there's actual eyes on the site as they're being destroyed. So I'll just put that in the minutes. So from here on out, they'll be destroyed at the landfill under fire,
Okay,
for lack of better words.
thank you.
That was one of my questions, what you did in the past, but thank you.
Well, I'll move to the commission to, no, I'm sorry. Trying to find the right language here. I move the commission to allow the county clerk to destroy the ballots in the following elections: 2024 presidential preference primary election, 2024 primary election, and the 2025 general city school election, and to appoint Eugene Rupp and Mike Weber to oversee the process.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. All those opposed, same sign. Thanks, Bobby. Okay, Ellis, the County Commission report.
I have no report at this time.
Okay.
I feel like I did something, but can't recall, so I don't have any report this time either.
Okay, I did go to the Imagine Ellis County meeting. I hadn't been for a while, so there's some different things coming on there. One of them, and it is with the city of Hayes but it's on Ellis County ground, the Frisbee thing, so down at the park, and they've got a lot of applicants, which will bring funding into Hayes. You know, if they're, whatever they do, stay here, groceries, whatever, it helps us on taxes. So the other thing I did, go out to the landfill and watch all the tires come in and the thank yous, and so that was pretty neat. That's been, me and Justin had talked about that, how long that's been. So anything to help our people out instead of putting them in the ditch and then we have to go pick them back up again, and a long process. And I also want to thank the Public Works, Brandon and his crew, if he can relay that on, the people that stepped up and on their supposedly day off, they graded and got our roads back in shape. So I appreciate that. Then we do have one executive session.
Okay. This time I move the Board of County Commissioners recess to executive session for 15 minutes under the following exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act pursuant to attorney-client privilege exception. Subject to be discussed during the executive session is contract negotiations. Open session will resume at 9:50 in the commission chambers. Those in attendance to the Board of County Commissioners are Neil Younger, Michael Burgess, Nathan Liker, Bill Jeter, Scott Brown, and Justin Craig.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved.
year
Okay.
now that we're having this discussion, because somebody come in, we had, she looked at the maps and there may be people buried on top of people dicey out there.
Nobody knows.
No, it's fine, you're dead, who cares?
Okay, no decisions were made. Adjourn at 9:50.
Have a good day, everyone.
Okay, thank you.